This is what springtime in Afghanistan used to look like. A decade and a peace deal later, spring in Afghanistan doesn't look too much different. And now, at the start of a new Taliban spring offensive, the US is still considering walking away.
When we look back at the past decades of our military involvement in the world, especially in Afghanistan and the Middle East, we must remember what we've learned about the limits of force to build a durable peace.
This suicide bombing in Helmand's capital, Ashgagar, is the latest evidence that a peace deal signed a year ago between the US and Taliban has brought precious little peace. Attacks on international troops have largely stopped, but violence against Afghans has soared. That despite a pledge by the Taliban for a ceasefire and to cut ties with terrorist groups. Now, in a letter to the Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, America's Secretary of State Antony Blinken reportedly writes that the US is considering full withdrawal of forces by May 1st, even though he says he's concerned that that would mean the security situation will worsen and the Taliban could make rapid gains.
The Taliban, of course, would like to see the US withdraw completely and is still trying to push for that. But again, by most assessments in Afghanistan, in the US, by NATO, all say that that would just create a really tricky situation right now.
Under the US-Taliban peace deal, all international troops are supposed to have left Afghanistan by the 1st of May, right in the midst of the Taliban's annual spring offensive.
One of the other concerns, I imagine, in Washington is that if we stay beyond the 1st of May, the Taliban will now resume attacks against international forces. And again, one of the parts of the agreement that they've kept is not attacking international forces. So part of the spring offensive could be some, serious attacks against district or provincial capitals, as well as attacks against international forces, just to show, to them, just for the Taliban to make the point, you broke your part of the agreement, we're breaking ours.
7,000 NATO troops have left Afghanistan in the year since the peace deal was signed, the vast majority of them American. Britain and other allies are hanging on the US for the future of their own Afghan missions. NATO's just missed a self-imposed deadline for deciding whether to withdraw all troops by May the 1st under the terms of the peace deal, despite clearly believing the Taliban hasn't met its commitments. But it seems the US thinks the Afghan government could do more too, and it's putting the pressure on with its talk of a total military pullout within weeks.
There are two parties on the ground that are foot dragging, so to speak. So the Taliban is definitely abrogating the terms of the agreement they made with the US, is making things very difficult for the Afghani government on the ground to govern in any kind of meaningful way. The Afghanistan government, at the same time, by many assessments and by the US assessment, could be doing more. The US is also worried that the Afghanistan government is also not producing meaningful incentives for the Taliban to negotiate with them or to move things forward.
How hasn't the Afghan government kept its side of the bargain? Because it's released thousands of Taliban prisoners.
It certainly has. And I think the important thing to note is the Afghanistan government was not part of that deal in February 2020. There was a long delay before the prisoner release, which was one of the main elements that the Taliban was really pushing for and continues to push for further releases. There was a start to talks back in the fall, but those have just been very slow moving forward.
When this peace deal was signed, no one expected what followed would be easy. Now, though, America is suggesting a United Nations-led conference which could lead to a new Afghan government involving the Taliban as a possible solution. The path to peace may be unpalatable, but so is continued violence. James Hurst, Forces News. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.